You can't make that up. You can't make that up. You can't make that up. Stories from the road. You can't make that up. You can't make that up. You can't make that up. Stories from the road.
I got called by an artist that I had worked for in the past, and they had started a new deal, and they were going to start signing bands to an imprint label, and they asked me to go out and be a guitar tech for one of their bands that they had just picked up as a favor. They were coming to the United States. They're a foreign band, and coming to the United States, very short, like 6-week run. I was in between tours. I'm like, extra money, I'll do a favor. What could go wrong, right? So I flew out to Florida, and first night, you know, you meet the rest of the guys at the hotel, like, oh, I'm going to the bar, grab something to eat. So you get to meet the other crew guys that you're going to be working with. And everybody seemed pretty cool. You know, some of the guys were foreign, so there was a language barrier because they didn't really know English well, but you could tell they were good-spirited people. And then there's the tour manager, and he was like this older guy, kind of questionable. I looked at him like, I don't know, but, you know, there's some good people and there's some bad people, so I was like, I'll just see how it goes. So he tells us, I got this all under control, report to me, everything you do, I got your back, blah, 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 you know, we're the only couple Americans on here, the rest are foreign guys, so, you know, we gotta stick together. He said the first night, there's no drugs, no drinking, like he likes to run a really clean tour, and I was like, not a problem, I've never been drunk, I've never done any drugs, like, you don't have to worry about me, and he's like, that's great, you know, we're gonna have a good time. The first couple shows go fine, but I noticed that the tour manager is kind of squirrely and weird, and I really don't know what to think of him because he's very evasive and just acted weird, and I'm just like, I don't know. I go upstairs to the production office, wherever the door's locked, I'm pounding, like, I'm like, what is going on? Like, and I'm thinking, you know, he's probably counting money or whatever, so I'm pounding on the door, I'm calling him on the radio. Finally, he whips the door open, pulls me in, he closes it, and there's like some cocaine there, and he's like, I don't do this all the time, man, so, like, you know, I'm really stressed out, this tour's stressing me out, and, like, you know, I promise you, like, this is just one time only, and I was like, whatever, you know, I don't judge you, you know, I've been doing this for years, so, but I was thinking, you told me no drugs, but whatever, you know, that's your deal. So we do the show, we load out, and we all go to bed, and we're driving, and we wake up and the bus is not running and it's completely quiet, and it's kind of like, God, we're stopped and the generator's off and what's going on, and all of a sudden we hear this screaming, everybody get your hands out now, and we open up the curtains of the bunk, and I look, and of course this, you know, there's this Swedish guy across from me, and he's like looking at me scared to death, and I look out through the galley, and there's all these SWAT team officers that have SWAT and guns with the laser pointers going down the hallway. And they're like, get your hands up, get off the bus. And like, we're all in our boxers and underwear. And of course, like, the Europeans have like little Speedo thing. It was hilarious. So I'm coming off the bus, I'm barely, you know, you're coming out of a bunk, you can barely see, right? And it's morning. So we're all like, oh, you know, come off the bus. And as I'm coming down off the bus, keeping my hands up, there is SWAT team guys all around the bus with guns pointed at us. I look to my left and I can see we're in a truck stop, and they have yellow tape around the truck stop, and the state police are there, and they're making the trucks go by, and they've quarantined this whole truck stop for us. We're at the pump, at the gas pump. I'm like, what's going on? Like, shut your mouth. So they make us put our hands up against the bus, and it's snowing out. It's freezing, right? It's the winter. And we're standing there, we're all like shaking, and they're trying to talk in their language, and they're screaming at us, shut up, and you can see the lasers going off the chrome of the bus, and they're all looking at me scared to death, and I'm like one of the only American guys left, because the tour manager's not there, and I'm like, where's the tour manager, you know? So finally, police officer comes over, and he's like, you're American? I said, yeah, and he goes, I need to talk to you. He goes, what do you know about your tour manager? And I said, not much, it's only been a week and I just met him, but, you know, he seems okay to me, whatever. And he goes, we're having trouble identifying his identity, and so we want to get as much information as possible. I'm like, well, what happened? He's like, I don't want to tell you, you know, I just want to get your information. So I tell him that, you know, he said his name's this, and blah, blah, and this is the things he told me, and, you know, all that, and he just seems like a pretty alright guy, you know, and he's like, okay, he goes, follow me, so he brings us into the inside of the convenience station at this truck stop, so we're all standing there in our underwear, cops all around us. All of a sudden I see a cop car pull up, and they pull the tour manager out, and he's handcuffed, and then the band's like all freaking out, and I'm like, what's going on? And they go out and speak with him, and then they come back in, and the police tell me that during the night while we were driving, he got up out of his bunk, and he started harassing the bus driver and telling him that, you know, yeah, you're gonna, you know, pull over now, and I need to get these drugs at this thing. And the bus driver is like, no, man, you're drunk and you're wasted, and you just get back in your bunk. Well, they started fighting, and he took the laptop that the driver had over here with the GPS, and he threw it out the window. So then the bus driver, like, started screaming at him, and then the tour manager went back to his bunk, and he grabbed a gun, and he went up to the front, and he told him he was going to kill him, and so they started fighting as we're going down the road, and we're all sleeping, so, like, you know, we didn't know any of this was going on. Well, the bus driver was able to, like, subdue him enough to kick him out the door on the side of the highway and drive to this truck stop. He called the police and said this guy tried to assault him, threw his laptop out. So we get there, and the police go out and question him, come back, tell us that this happened, and then they say that they're going to have to take pictures of his tattoos because he's using fake names, and they know that's not the real person, and so they're taking pictures of his tattoos. And we were there for hours, but come to find out he was a wanted fugitive for stealing money and all this stuff. And so they were like, he's going to jail, you guys need to get back on the bus and just go where you're going. They're like, not until we go and search the bus. So they go through the bus and they find his briefcase, and there's drugs in there and knives, and so they confiscate all that, and they take the bag of money that we had that's the float for the tour for the production manager, and they tell us, get out of here. Well, in the meantime, I'm calling the guy who I'm doing the favor for, and I'm like, you know, and he's, you know, West Coast, so he's not up, but I'm leaving messages, like, call me back, you gotta call me back, like, we're in trouble, you gotta call me back. And finally he called me back, and he's like, what's going on? I tell him, and he says, I don't have any more money. I gave him $60,000 into his bank account, and he has all the float for the tour. Like, I don't have any money. He has the credit cards in his name for the band. So, like, he's like, I don't have enough money to get you guys out of there. You're going to have to finish the tour. And I said, well, all right, well, who's coming out to be the tour manager? And he's like, we don't have enough money to bring another tour manager out. So can you please be the guitar tech and the tour manager? And I was like, oh my God, like, I go, we don't have any money. I'm like, I don't have any advance paper. Like, they took his briefcase. Like, I know nothing about this gig. Like, I just know where we're showing up, right? And he's like, I'll get all that to you, and you got to use the rest of the tour money to get the band back, because we bought all their tickets back to Europe, and we can't afford to move the tickets up, so you got to finish the tour and get them there so that they can get home on the flight, so we don't have to incur all these charges. And I was like, I will try, but I don't know if I can do this. And so we went to the next gig, and, you know, showed up, and I had to do everything, and, like, we had no money, and I would collect advance off the thing, and that's how I had to pay the bus driver and all this stuff. And I actually finished the tour, and I made money off the tour and got everybody back, and it was a huge success, but that was pretty crazy.
You can't make that up. You can't make that up. You can't make that up. Stories from the road. You can't make that up. You can't make that up. You can't make that up.